Welcome back. New York's version of a stay-at-home order is in place, what the governor calls a, quote, pause. It went into effect last night. In the hours before the mandate took effect, the state reported 4,000 new cases. There are now close to 17,000 cases in New York. That's 48% of all nationwide cases and 5% of all cases worldwide. New York City alone has more than 9,000 cases, with his state as really the national epicenter. Governor Andrew Cuomo says New Yorkers should prepare to be in isolation for up to 9 months.
This is not a short-term situation. This is not a long weekend. This is not a week. The timeline, nobody can tell you. It depends on how we handle it. But 40%, up to 80% of the population will wind up getting this virus. All we're trying to do is slow the spread, but it will spread. It is that contagious. Again, that's nothing to panic over.
In another development, USA Today reports that auto giant General Motors has agreed to use its currently shuttered factories to help make ventilators for overrun hospitals. Tesla will also join in the effort, while Ford continues to weigh the task. The auto companies were fearful just days ago that they couldn't produce the small components of the precise machines to FDA requirements. But the president announced yesterday that the agency has relaxed the approval process for the medical devices. But there remains the question of how fast the production lines can be converted for the much-needed production to begin. Joining us now, Chairwoman of the House Research and Technology Subcommittee, Democratic Congressman Haley Stevens of Michigan. She previously served as Chief of Staff to President Obama's Auto Rescue Task Force that saved GM Chrysler and more than 1 million jobs. Thank you very much for joining us. I guess the first question I have for you is, how can these auto companies get in line with kind of a mass mobilization to try and help this country stem the curve of this crisis without really an order from the top, from President Trump?
Well, first, let me start by saying, Mika, Joe, thank you so much for your dedication and your team's dedication to your profession at this time. And to everybody watching, we know that you are worried about your financial security, your health security, and House Democrats are fighting for you, and we will not let you fail. In terms of a national call to action, this is our World War II moment. This is our time to come together as a nation to rally our manufacturing base. The announcement came last week. The big three halted production, and with that, thousands of suppliers, millions of jobs, countless individuals have been impacted. And now is our time to rise to the occasion, meet the need of producing the protective equipment that our hospitals need, the ventilators, and put people to work. Secure this nation at this time. This is an industrial call to action.
Okay, but if you get that industrial call to action, you either can do it individually, I guess, in your district with different companies. But wouldn't it make more sense if the president actually invoked the Defense Production Act and got some uniformity going here?
The Defense Production Act is absolutely a tool. Many of us in Michigan and throughout the country, members of Congress, are calling on the president to do that. That is certainly a tool, but also working with the companies to do so. And what we'd like to say is, we're not going to let you fail. We know people are worried. We know that companies, I drove past many of them on my way in here today, are seeing zero revenue. Jobs are on the line, as well as health being on the line. We are looking at Great Depression levels here, Mika, and we need the president to step up. I'm calling on him. I'm ready to work with anyone because I'm here representing my people in a moment of triage, and I'm not going to let him go by the wayside.
Congresswoman, it's Jonathan Lemire. As we just discussed, some of these automakers may be pushed into the effort here to manufacture ventilators and such, but their futures are uncertain now. There's a lot of economic hit, as you're saying. Will this auto industry, as part of the stimulus, as part of the relief packages that are being negotiated right now, will the auto industry, as the governor of your state suggested yesterday, also need federal help? Will they need some sort of bailout?
It's all tied in together, but guys, this isn't a bailout. We're not talking about bailouts. We're talking about securing assets. We're talking about securing the industrial assets of this nation. We're seeing an unpleasant picture here, right? We don't know what this looks like on the other side, but we do know we don't have a country if we don't make things, if we don't have an auto industry. That is what we're saying. We're not looking for cash to companies. We're looking to secure their assets through federal monetary policy. The other thing is, and I've been saying this all along, direct, cohesive, clear assistance to every American. I've got engineers who are making $80,000 and are going to be out of a job, and their W-2 is not meeting the levels that they want. So it's time to get people the assurance, the financial security. We're in the upside down. We know that. This is not normal. This was not expected. This is a pandemic. It's global. We're not the only nation fighting it, but by golly, we're the nation to lead it globally, and we're ready to do it here. And I'm calling on it. I'm willing to work with anyone. The time for politics and partisan back and forth is over. Manufacturing is the great uniter. It's coming right from a place called Michigan, and we're doing it here.
So who's coordinating the auto industry efforts at this point? And what exactly do you need from President Trump if you could talk to him directly?
So we need him to reestablish what we had in the Obama administration with a senior counselor for manufacturing policy. This was my old boss, Ron Bloom. He did this. We created this national network for manufacturing innovation. There's a dozen labs all across the country that are focused on the open sourcing, the what's called a digital thread that'll connect all these suppliers to one another so they can meet the on-time delivery that our hospitals need in this moment. And so let's get that rule back in place. You know, I'm paying attention to what Kudlow's saying. I'm working with my colleagues through the Manufacturing Caucus. That's Tim Ryan and Congressman Reed. We're all coming together here. Debbie Dingell's playing a role, too. It's all hands on deck. It doesn't matter what party you are in this moment. What matters is we coalesce, we come together, and the president appoints somebody in his office to lead this charge. Also, our friends at the National Association of Manufacturers, they're doing a fabulous job. They put out a big call to all the manufacturers. But we need to open source this. We need to regionalize it, and we need to meet the pressing needs that are in our hospitals. I want to tell you guys something else. I talked to a mayor in my hometown mayor. He spent his weekend going to construction sites trying to source the PPE for the hospitals who need it. This was Saturday. Today is Monday. What does this look like on Thursday? We should have been doing this yesterday. We're all hands on deck, though. We're willing and ready to work with anyone, and I'm telling the president right now, I'm ready to work with you on this.
Congresswoman Haley Stevens, thank you very much.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.